Today on Fresno State Focus, we're covering some spooky festivities, taking a look at how one ranch is offering a place to get a few good scares.
Also, we show you how birth advocates are helping women have healthier pregnancies.
Plus, we'll get an update on the construction on our new USU, Fresno State Focus, starts now. Hello, and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Isha Padilla.
And I'm Jonathan Garcia Espinoza. We're starting off this week's show with some big news.
Dr. Saul Jimenez Sandoval is now the interim president of Fresno State. Right now, he serves as Fresno State Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Before that, he was our Dean of College of Arts and Humanities. Dr. Jimenez Sandoval will assume his leadership of the university on January 4th of the new year. That's when President Dr. Joseph Castro begins his new role as Chancellor of the entire California State University system. Lots of exciting and impressive changes involving Fresno State.
If the pandemic isn't scary enough for you, this Halloween season is bumping up the scares. Today, we take a look at a haunted ranch that locals say they can't get enough of.
When it's Halloween, everyone's entitled to a good scare. But now with the pandemic, everyone is also entitled to feeling safe.
I don't like scary stuff, no.
Although Fresno resident Gina Rios doesn't like the horror side of Halloween, she still feels safe coming to Raising Hell Ranch in Madera.
Yeah, I think they've done good. They had the security guard out there telling us to be mindful of our distancing and to wear our masks. Yeah, I thought they did a good job.
But for those wanting to feel the fear of Halloween on top of the pandemic, they can get that too.
I love the scary part, and it's pretty fun to see them screaming.
For Fresno State student Cade Harrison, coming here is just what he needs to get into the Halloween spirit.
I mean, the only other thing we usually do is either watch a movie or something else like that, but this is our fix right now.
With the ongoing pandemic highly discouraging trick-or-treating this year, Halloween may look very different. But the one thing that doesn't change is people waiting in line to get scared.
Social distancing signs can be seen throughout the ranch, along with hand sanitizing stations to follow COVID guidelines. Owner Darren Schmall says people still want to have fun, but be safe doing it.
So people are really anxious to get out to be able to do something. And so, they're coming out, they're following our rules, and I think they're having a good time.
So for those coming to get scared this Halloween, remember to wear your mask, keep a good distance, and get ready to scream.
Raising Hell Ranch is open this Halloween weekend.
With the pandemic making Halloween a little bit trickier, the Fresno Custom Car Company found an alternative way to help some kids get their treats this year. Cruz Gonzalez takes us to Fulton Street to see how they did it.
Sunday night cruising is a weekly tradition here on Fulton Street, but Sunday night, a few Central Valley car clubs made it special for neighborhood kids. Welcome to Trunk or Treat, an event to help make this pandemic's Halloween feel a little more normal.
When I was growing up, my childhood was going door to door to get candy, and we wanted to see, but right now everything's so tight where the kids are not having that fun. They feel frustrated. They feel like they're not having the same thing that they had a couple years ago.
But aside from the Halloween fun, regulars of Sunday night cruising love the family atmosphere of the event.
There's different car clubs, there's bikes. It's a family thing now. They turned into a family thing, which is good. So we get to sit out here, enjoy ourselves, enjoy the evening with your family, see the cars, the vehicles, the lowriders, bikes, and stuff.
The tradition of Sunday night cruising brings back feelings of nostalgia for Nancy Luna, and she loves sharing her appreciation of custom cars with her kids.
And it's kind of fun because the kids get to know what we were growing up with. I mean, Fulton was known to do cruising. Kings Canyon was, Blackstone. So, we want to continue the tradition.
Although you may not find trick-or-treating here every Sunday, you will find classic cars. From downtown Fresno, this is Cruz Gonzalez with Fresno State Focus.
Cruising begins at 6 p.m. every Sunday on Fulton Street. There are only 2 more days until Halloween. Let's take a look at how people are planning to celebrate it.
Halloween looks different this year. It's not just about those cute kids, candy, and costumes.
We know enough about what's going on that we can take proper precautions.
This year, it's also about being safe. Catherine Profke, a mom of 4, still plans to take her kids out trick-or-treating, like she always does. But this year, she'll also be carrying around hand sanitizer, wearing a mask, and not going out with the traditional crowd of neighbors.
We think it's worth it to go out and give the kids a little bit of something that they, haven't gotten to experience so much this time around. We're taking the extra precautions to go out and have some fun.
Not everyone plans on going out though. Elia Duran is an expecting mother with 3 other children. She plans on staying in on Halloween night.
Yeah, I'll still have them dressed up. I was thinking of just getting them like their favorite candies maybe at the store, just so they can have something.
Whether you choose to stay indoors or go outside, creativity for a child can come in many forms. This candy company is bringing the candy and the door to random neighborhoods. This dad is using technology to give his daughter lots of costume changes, down to the smallest detail on that witchy witch. She's wearing the scariest costume of all, Zoom. Some just lost their heads getting creative.
If you're not comfortable going outside and trick-or-treating, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention recommends these low-risk activities, like decorating pumpkins and having a scavenger hunt at home.
So, we've taken you to a haunted ranch, checked out a few different ways people are celebrating. Now, let's get our costumes on. Cameron Foster shows us some popular ideas.
It's Cameron Foster from Fresno State Focus. As you can see, I'm in a festive Halloween scenery because it's Halloween season. And I am in my firefighter uniform, chief firefighter at that. And I'm gonna be showing you a few of some other cool outfits that some people didn't mind sharing. So,
I am a Bratz doll because who's better to, be a Bratz doll than me? Also, I feel like I've been told I'm a brat, so my personality fits it. But when it really comes together, have my hair in a ponytail, some makeup on, maybe some different shoes. But the bag and the outfit, to me, screams brat.
what a cool Bratz doll costume. It was also a DIY.
Halloween 2020 might look a little different this year, but I still wanted to dress up because it's my favorite holiday. It's an opportunity for someone to dress up as something funny. This year I decided to dress up as a scarecrow because I thought it was fun and different, and I really liked the little hat that I got.
As you can see, some popular costumes. Here we have Chun-Li and Ryu from Street Fighter, and also Ash Ketchum with Pikachu from Pokemon. Thanks, guys. Wait. Back to Isha and Jonathan. What are you guys gonna be for Halloween?
Well, Cameron, the other day at the store, I saw a couple's costume, the soap and the loofah. The soup was calling my name. What about you, Jonathan?
Well, my girlfriend wants to go as Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man from SpongeBob, so yeah, that's gonna be fun. Coming up on Fresno State Focus, an update on our new USU and how people are feeling about it.
Also, we'll show you how one farmer is dealing with the shortage of vets during this pandemic.
Up next on your Focus on Weather, we'll be looking into Halloween weekend and your 7-day forecast to take you into next week. All that when we come back.
I got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit up in my head. Up in my head to say. I got that bulldog spirit deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit up in my head, deep in my heart, down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit all over me to stay. I got that bulldog
deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart, deep in my heart, I've got that bulldog spirit.
It's Cruz Gonzalez with your focus on weather. Let's take a look at some views from downtown Fresno earlier today. We have clear blue skies, feeling a little colder than usual with temperatures in the high 70s. Slight breezes are definitely making it feel like fall, as it should, bringing us into our Halloween weekend. More on that later, but let's take a look at our regional picture. The Southeast is experiencing a ton of hail coming through North Carolina, Tennessee, and even making its way up to Kansas. The area near the Gulf is getting a ton of storm action after Hurricane Zeta touched down in Louisiana Wednesday afternoon and was declared a Category 2 storm. So far, Missouri, Eastern Texas, and even Tennessee have been dealing with the stormy weather. Taking a look at our California picture, we can see winds coming down the Pacific from up north, giving us slight winds across California. Temperatures this weekend into early next weekend will be above normal for this time of year. Dry weather will stick around for at least the next 7 days. Air quality is looking better for Kern and Tulare counties as they move from unhealthy to sensitive groups into moderate. The only Central Valley county that remains in the orange is Kern County. Now for a look at our 7-day forecast. Thursday, temperatures are creeping into the 80s, but will remain at around 79. Friday, we make our way back into the low 80s for the rest of the weekend and into next week. But don't tuck those extra blankets away yet, because we can still expect our nighttime temperatures to be about 50 degrees, warming up to 54 this time next week. This has been your Focus on Weather. Back to you guys in the studio.
The Resnick Student Union is slowly coming together. The USU Board of Directors want to keep students involved with the new building. The Resnick Student Union is looking different when campus closed in March. If you haven't had the chance to see how it looks, we want to show you. Some walls and steel beams are up. Even with the pandemic, students and being at home, USU Board of Directors want to involve students with the new building.
And that goes as little as what type of furniture you want to see in the new building or what type of actual resources you want to see.
You can visit Fresno State's website at fresnostate.edu/USU, see more features, take a virtual reality tour of the building and more.
Black women are fighting a healthcare crisis, high infant mortality rate. Julie Scramp shows us why Black birth advocates might be the answer to this crisis by helping each other have healthier pregnancies.
Black women are at a higher risk for pregnancy complications. According to the Fresno County Department of Public Health, in 2017, Black infants accounted for 5% of Fresno County's total births, but they made up over 15% of total infant deaths. Birth advocates, or doulas, and Black mothers are working together to change the statistics.
When we talk about infant mortality and why babies are dying, this miseducation, these fears, this mistrust, and it's one of those things where they all compile.
A doula's job is to empower women to advocate for their needs and inform them of their rights during pregnancy and labor. Many Black women feel their concerns go unheard by medical professionals.
Once I was in labor, I didn't feel like I was being taken seriously until I was on my hands and knees, 8 centimeters dilated, 3 epidurals in, and dang near have to get a C-section. Like, they really didn't take me seriously until it was the end point.
Similar to Tara, I wasn't taken seriously until the last minute. Almost a year ago, I gave birth to Bennett in this room, on this bed. I was turned away from the hospital 3 times. One nurse ensured me that I was not in labor. Luckily, with the help of 3 firefighters and 2 paramedics, my son was born healthy and I had no complications.
That is not always the case for many Black women.
A lot of African American women do not know how to advocate for themselves, or they do not know that they can have a C-section and ask for a C-section, or they don't know their pregnancy rights. So if you have a good doula, your good doula will encourage you to empower yourself to advocate for yourself.
Doulas are not the answer to all the problems for Black mothers, but they are working to make a difference so more Black women have a positive outcome.
Doulas encourage every mom to seek support, resources, and education during pregnancy. Having all 3 can make a difference.
Coming up on Fresno State Focus,
we'll get a chance to see how one wrestling company is finding a way to practice and compete despite this pandemic.
Here in the valley, our colors are blue and our waves are red. Bulldog born and bulldog bred. Generations linked forever by traditions that have stood the test of time. Inside our stadiums, we are one. This is our valley, and this year, we're doing it for you.
Success. At Fresno State, it's no secret. It's discovering new ways to change our world. It's creating opportunities as diverse as our community itself. It's in the distinction of our graduates as they lead us into the future. Success is no secret at Fresno State. It's our mission.
With the election just 5 days away, Fresno County voters are urged to use election office Dropboxes to ensure their vote gets counted. Jamal Ahmed shows us why Dropboxes are the safest way to get your voice to count and the new program that helps you track your ballots.
Hi, I'm here in Sama at the Noble Credit Union, where behind me might look like a mailbox or a recycle box, but it's actually where voters can use to drop in their mail ballots for this year. These mail ballots are placed in 67 other locations in Fresno County, and Brandy Orth, the Fresno County clerk, prefers that we use these mail ballots, drop boxes, for this year's election.
Again, we're really strongly recommending you should have already received your ballot. You should drop it or mail it. Is the safest and most efficient way to get it to us.
Dropboxes are open 24/7 outdoors, and it's a non-contact way of voting. Cheyenne Weaver from Fresno already submitted her vote at her local Dropbox. She says she's surprised but also happy when she found out that there was a Dropbox in her city.
Like 4 years ago, I just turned 18. It was my first time going to vote, and I didn't have a car to take me to the voting stations. So I was glad that I saw a Dropbox down the street from my house. And like now, all the new people, I'm happy for them because they could do the same at their little Dropboxes.
Tracking your ballot is something new for this election. Voters who vote early can now find out where their ballot is.
Absolutely, and it's a great service. It's free. You just sign up online, and it's where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov, and you just plug in your information, and at this point, it will tell you when my office has received your ballot and if there's any issue with your signature.
Although these drop boxes will be open till 8 o'clock of election day, Fresno officials say if you are going to vote this year, vote now. In Selma, Jamal Ahmed, Fresno State Focus.
You can drop off your ballot or vote in person until next Tuesday, November the 3rd, which is Election Day. According to Pew Research Center, statistics show that this election, the Hispanic and Latino group will have the largest eligible voters than any election before. Today, we learn more about the impact of this with the Chicano and Latin American Studies professor, Dr. Anabela España. Thank you so much for joining us today, Professor. Can you further explain the impact this election has within the Latino community?
I think it's going to be very important for the Latino community. Some of the top issues that Latinos care about are healthcare, the economy. Those have been pulling at the top too for quite a while now, which is understandably because the Latino community has been one of the hardest hits with the pandemic. And so who wins the election at the presidential level, but also in local and state elections at the Senate, all those things are going to have a really big impact on what happens and how the government addresses this crisis that we're on, and that policies that benefit the Latino community actually make it through. And so I think it's really critical.
Okay, so why should the Hispanic and Latinos care about voting and making their voice be heard?
I think that, we live in a democracy, and unless you exercise your voice, you're not heard. And so Latinos, even though we're a growing community, we're still underrepresented in government. And the only way we can address that is by electing more people to office who represent our interests. And the only way that happens is if we vote and we participate, right? Without participation, it's hard then to say, well, government doesn't do anything for me. It's like, well, of course it doesn't, because we're not voting in people who represent our interests. And so if we want to be represented, if we want policies that address our concerns and our needs and our community, then we need to engage with the political system.
Okay, so what would you say to that eligible voter that is still like on the fence about voting?
I would say, voting is, I think, a right and a privilege. And I think we can't waste that voice. There's a lot of people in the US who can't participate for a number of reasons, especially within the Latino community. And I think that there are a lot of really substantial issues on the ballot that are going to affect your daily lives, yours and your families and your communities. And so the only way to really make sure that government is doing the things that you need government to do is for you to go vote for people who care about your issues.
Yeah, so from your experience in teaching, why within the culture there's sometimes that existing belief of like, why get involved?
Yeah, I think that one thing I've noticed is that people believe that their voice doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't matter who I vote for, nothing's gonna happen. And I think that, I don't think that's true. I think that, what government does impacts our daily lives, everything about our lives. And so who you vote for does matter. And not voting, you're still participating, but what you're essentially doing is you're giving more power to the people who engage, right? And so that's what I always try to tell my students is that if your decision not to vote is actually a participation, but what it is that you're giving more power to the people who are voting. And so you're still, responsible for the outcomes, but in a way that you maybe didn't foresee. And so if I don't vote, then I've given essentially my voice to somebody else to make those decisions for us. And so we may as well actually make those decisions for ourselves.
Okay, so how can this ethnic race minority get more involved and informed with not only this presidential election, but sometimes elections that are happening in our own community?
Yeah, I think that's an important point to emphasize because obviously the national level matters. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We know how much it matters. But local elections are really important for our community. And the education board, city council, all those things have a real direct impact on you, on your children, on your family. And so I think that the key is that the parties have still not done a great job of reaching out to the community. But I think that, we shouldn't let that stop us. And so what we need to do is take agency ourselves. And there's lots of organizations in the Latino community who are mobilizing to get us informed, to get us registered. And so maybe it does fall on us to do a little bit of that work. And, maybe in an ideal world, they will reach out to us. But since that's not happening, then we have to do it ourselves. And it does take work. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think given the outcomes, then I think it's worth that investment of your time to look up some organization that you care about and see, what are their positions on things, to reach out to organizations like, Mi Familia Vota and so other things like that do grassroots mobilization of the Latino community.
Okay, well, we've been speaking with Professor Anabela España, Associate Professor of the Chicano and Latino American Studies. Once again, thank you, Professor, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Isha, have you voted already?
Yeah, I made sure to drop off my ballot early enough, but I see you over there having that Dodger jersey.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about the Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the World Series champs for the first time since 1988. Fans are really excited that they beat the Tampa Bay Rays 3-1 in Game 6 after winning the National League 3 out of the last 4 years. Finally winning this series is a big deal.
Go Dodgers! This is our time, man. I've been waiting a long time for this. Yes! Dodgers! Dodger Blue, world champion.
While this is exciting, it ends with the big question. Will these champs have to go into quarantine? Third baseman Justin Turner found out in the 7th inning that he is positive for COVID.
Due to COVID-19, many sports were either put on hold or had to say goodbye to their season entirely because of the social distancing guidelines. Over in the 209, our reporter, Samantha Cortez, has more for us on the team that is adapting to the season during COVID.
This youth wrestling program has found a way to continue to practice and compete in the midst of a pandemic. Coach Emilio Saavedra has had to get creative in the way he's coaching his kids.
We actually held Zoom practices, virtual practices.
As restrictions slowly lift in the area, Saavedra is now able to hold sessions with a limited amount of kids in the wrestling room.
We've also adapted to do certain things, like training in a lot smaller sessions, like kind of like pods, I guess you could say.
Elizabeth Ramirez's two sons wrestle for the youth program. She says she's 100% on board with her kids practicing and competing this season.
There's always precautions that you can take, and they're taking their precautions also, and so are the parents and the other children. So as long as you take precaution, I think everything will be safe.
Those precautions include cleaning and sanitizing before and after every wrestling session. When the team travels to compete, they also follow social distancing guidelines, doing their best to keep themselves and their opponents COVID-free. Everyone seems to be learning and growing from this experience.
I think we're learning to live with COVID, and it's going to be kind of a new thing that's part of life. And as parents and as helping with coaching and seeing kids, I think it's better for them to get outside and have that outlet.
Whether it's practicing online through Zoom or here in the wrestling room, these parents are adapting and doing their best to keep their kids safe while still allowing them to compete. I'm Sammy Cortez with Fresno State Focus.
The team recently competed in the annual Freak Show tournament in Idaho. The girls placed second over 300 teams in attendance.
The sudden shift from restaurant dining to at-home eating has more people grocery shopping, which has caused a shortage in eggs. A lot of companies can't make or deliver fast enough. Some shelves are empty, especially in the egg section. Local farms are big businesses right now, especially ones like this in Stockton. This farmer got chickens right when the pandemic hit, doing this for his family, sourcing his own eggs when he noticed grocery stores were running low. And he doesn't have to pay more for these organic eggs. This has been beneficial for him and his family.
So I figured I'd get me a few chickens, and I got these not chicks, they were probably like medium, teenagers, and then they start laying their eggs. So not only are you going to benefit from the eggs, not buying the store stuff that you don't know what you're going to get. These are organic, you're feeding them, you're growing them.
And they're not so hard to find, walking as far as their own backyard. Getting his own chickens has worked out well for him and his family.
It's that time of the show where we get to meet members of the Fall 2020 Fresno State Focus team.
Today, we'll start off by meeting Samantha Cortez. Samantha is a broadcast news major, and she's busy. In fact, she's producing today's newscast. She also shoots portraits.
Hi guys, I'm Sammy. I'm in my final year at Fresno State, and when I'm not editing and working on shows for this class, I freelance outside of it, which has been pretty cool to do during quarantine because I was able to start figuring out what I like to do a bit more by that. And when we're not freelancing, me and Mia here hang out and we watch a ton of Netflix and binge watch TV shows.
Next, we have Kevin Hernandez. He's a junior at Fresno State. When he's not getting work done for school, he's a fun-loving guy who misses going to school in person.
What's up, everybody? My name is Kevin Hernandez, and I am the Assistant Director for Fresno State Focus, and I'm also the lead editor for the show. I'm an MCJ major doing my best to work during the quarantine. I really hope that we can go back to school in person soon because I miss my friends and going to campus. In my free time, I like to hang out with my friends online and play video games. I also really enjoy goldfish crackers.
Next week on Fresno State Focus, a closer look at Prop 17 and what it means for California. Don't forget to turn your clocks back an hour. Daylight saving starts Sunday.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.